when I made a decision to no longer be a single man and I married my wife, everything else was cut off. I'm Mike, and this is real life. I want to talk about something today that I've wanted to talk about for a while. We tend to blame our issues on so many things. I mean, whether they're valid or not valid excuses, at the end of the day, they're still excuses. And I think there's been a misdiagnosis. Every time I hear this word, I just feel like we use these catchwords and these catchphrases that really don't apply to our everyday lives. One of the catchphrases or just words that we use is motivation. If we're an athlete, athletes don't even fully believe in motivation. Like, motivation is not the reason why you keep doing something. And if you are motivated, you're going to have to keep being motivated. Something's going to have to motivate you constantly. If you take a lion and a gazelle, a gazelle doesn't have to be motivated by the lion. And the lion does not need to be motivated by the gazelle. It's just innately in you. If you're going to push, push. If you're going to do it. It's survival. The lion is hungry, so the lion must eat. The gazelle doesn't want to die, so the gazelle is going to do everything in its power to run away. That's it. We don't have to overcomplicate the simple and the obvious. What I've truly noticed is that, it's not usually that we don't have effort, or that we can't start, or, those kinds of things. But truth be told, a lot of our issues is that, it's rooted in avoidance. We avoid making decisions. Very simple. When you decide, you also close doors. I can't remember who said it, but they broke down the definition of deciding and how, to decide means that you cut. It means to cut. And too often we're not willing to cut off things to gain something. We're just not. When you decide, you have to leave things in the past. You gotta let them go. It's not easy. It might not even make sense at the time, but you gotta cut it off. Avoidance, at the end of the day, it keeps things kind of in limbo. It keeps it still at a point of it not being fully real or just theoretical. But when you take responsibility of something, oh man, it's like you wear it, just like I'm wearing this shirt. You wear it fully. It's truly real life at that point. When I made a decision to no longer be a single man and I married my wife, everything else was cut off. I mean, it to cut. That's it. It's too many of us, and I'm not judging. I don't have that space. But when it's time to put away childish things, it's time to put away childish things. All right. We're grown. We can't keep making these same mistakes. Too often, I just think about just life in general. It's almost like we're comfortable making excuses, and we're comfortable being in places that we know we shouldn't, and we know that God has more for us, but we much rather still stay in the stagnant place. At this point in your life, you have to make a decision. I used to do sales, and somebody I looked up to as a mentor, they told me, because they did something for me that I don't think no one's ever done for me. And that was, I'm in Virginia, and they paid for a flight for me to come out to Chicago. I mean, at that point, I never been on a plane, let alone anybody buying me a plane ticket just to come out and see them. And, As I was sitting there, in my head, sitting on the plane, in my head, I was like, man, like, do these people even like me? Do these people, they don't even know me. But then once I got to Chicago, I'll never forget, because I'm kind of uneasy with people doing stuff for me. But I'll never forget, I had a puzzled look on my face, and I asked the question to my mentor. I asked him, I said, how is it and why is it that you did this for me? And he said something very simply. And he said, if the people in your life were going to change your life, they would have done it already. Dude, when I tell you, that thing hit me like a ton of bricks. And it's not saying to disown your families. Matter of fact, if you're a Christian, you need to go get your families. But what he was saying was, at the level that I was growing, there was a separation happening. And the separation only happened because I made a decision. I couldn't stay where my best friends were. I couldn't stay where my family was. I had to separate. I had to do something different. Because in order for us to be different, we got to do different. And I know I'm giving all these cliches. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. Okay. Bear with me. But no, man, I just fully believe that our problem is not what the world thinks our problem is, but with us having so many, and I mean so many options, the reason why we're stuck is not the obvious thing, but it's obvious at the same time. And that's because we are not able to make a decision. There's a line in scripture that says that we shouldn't be double-minded. And, for some of y'all, like if you don't know what double-minded means, basically means that you're unsure, that you're halted between two opinions. What it doesn't mean is that it doesn't mean that you're weak. So don't let anybody tell you that you're weak. But, like I said, what it means is that you're stuck. You're in between. You're in the gray area. You're on the fence. And the sad part is that that's exactly where the enemy wants you. The enemy wants you to not make a step. What I'm realizing is that there's a lot of men in this world who are okay with just going with the flow. But see, there's no flow with moving forward. It's either you're going forward or you're not. And so if you're in the same position you were last year, this year, that's a problem. And if next year you see this video, it's 2020, but 2026 now. If in 2027, you're in the same place, then something's wrong and you need to fix it. And so in closing, y'all, just listen. You might have the question of, what do you need to do next? And you're watching all these different YouTube videos to tell you what to do next. Truth be told, it's not what you need to do next, but it's what are you avoiding that's stopping you from getting to the next. Sit with that. And I'll talk to you later.